And that's the thing, like, I don't see the results, so that's why I don't see them as big accomplishments, because I see these people who be exercising and it's like a 6 month 10 month thing, and they have amazing bodies, and I'm like, I've been exercising for the same amount, I've been pretty consistent with it too, and I don't see my results. Like, where are my results? But then you go into other factors. I think talking about it, so if you have somebody that you could talk about your wins, okay, I did this today, pretty much having an accountability partner. So if you already know what your goals are and what you have to do, and you're doing them every week, just talk about it with somebody, like, oh, I did this, and then also talk about what I could have done better, but celebrate those wins. Ooh, I think that an action as well that's really, really important is to not guilt ourselves, or que no nos culpemos when we don't do it, especially if it's just a 1 day or 2 day, maybe 3 days, but to not guilt ourselves when we don't do certain things, because it's not always going to be 100%, when especially like those daily actions that we need to do, those daily habits that we got to do, to not guilt ourselves when we don't do them. I think that celebrating our wins, whether they're big, whether they're small. I think we tend to forget about our wins, or we tend to look past them very quickly. And so I think it's really important to talk about this, because we need to remind ourselves that we need to talk about this. All right. So the reason I'm making this episode right next to the first episode that I made of this series is because when I was doing that episode, I was really struggling to talk about my wins, even though I knew that was something I knew that's important. I was really struggling, and I was thinking of big things that my wins, and that made me think like, oh man, I really haven't done much, because again, for me, I was thinking like big, but I forgot to mention a lot of the things that I've been doing, that those in itself are wins. So that's kind of like the context of why I'm making this episode, is because I myself was struggling this past episode that I did. So I think it's really important to remind ourselves, and yeah, I'm babbling, I'm ranting. So I think it's important to start with like, why don't we celebrate our wins? And I think for many of us, especially like people of color, Latinos, Black people, like anybody really, like we tend to grow up with either not enough validation, or you're just meant to do certain things, and it's like, okay, you were supposed to do these things, this was expected of you, so why should we celebrate that? Like, that was like that thing of your job is to study, tu trabajo es estudiar, like that's all you're expected to do. And when you don't do that, that's when you're not celebrated. But then when you do those things, and when you do really good on those things, they forget about it. And I could give like, I think like this is my trauma, or my like things I'm trying to heal, porque when I graduated college, it was very like, I think it's a big thing in the sense that I graduated, but it's a small thing because I'm not using my degree at all. Oh, the reason I'm using my microphone like this is because there's a lot of wind in here, so hopefully me having it closer makes the audio better. But yeah, so that was graduating college. And when I did graduate college, mind you, it was 2021, so it was during the pandemic, so there was no graduation at all, like no ceremony. And then my family didn't really mention anything, like they didn't, like maybe a congratulations, but that's it. And then recently, a month ago, we celebrated my cousin who graduated as well. I'm like, damn, I didn't get this. I had no party, I had no like, and of course there's like so many factors that go through this, and like why there was no party. And I'm also someone who's like very reserved, so those didn't really, I'm just not used to parties, I guess. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, but it really did hit me like, damn, I didn't, like, nobody really celebrated it. And I was the first one in our family that we know of that graduated college, and then a year later, and graduated a year earlier So I was like, damn, that kind of like, that actually made me cry when I was giving the speech to my cousin. But like at the end of the day, and it's amazing that we're, what's it called? Like, it's not only me no more. So it's that's pretty cool. But just in the sense of the celebration, I was kind of sad. So there's like a lot of different ways that a lot of different reasons why we don't celebrate, like the root cause of it. So for me, it's we're not used to celebrating expectations of things. Like, you're just expected to do certain things, and why should we celebrate that if that's what you're supposed to do? And what else? I don't really have anything planned for this. I have 4 things. I got like 4 main things, but I think it's asking ourselves a question, or solves that question, like, oh, why don't I celebrate my wins? Is it my low self-confidence? Like, do I need to gain more self-confidence? I think there's an argument there, like there is no self-confidence, or I don't know what the argument is, but pretty much like how much confidence do I have about in myself, and then what, realizing the things that you have accomplished. But those are actions. The root cause is like, what was it before? How did I grow up? Like, what was the expectation on how I should celebrate my things? Like, how was I programmed pretty much to celebrate my wins? Was I programmed to celebrate? Was I not programmed? Do they diminish my accomplishments? Do I think it's not enough and that's why I don't celebrate them? Certain stuff, things like that we could start reflecting. And then to give some examples on my wins, and I already mentioned some before on the previous episode, but the big ones were the Texas trip, which I was able to do a solo trip by myself. I went to Mexico by myself as well, but this I was with family. What else? It was graduating college. It was starting the podcast. See, like, even now I'm still struggling to like know what the wins were. But then when I was thinking about it, not honestly, not for too long, but I was definitely thinking about it at some point, of the small wins or the very consistent wins. It's the push-ups. I was able to do, usually it's a whole month that I'm able to do push-ups every single day. I did miss, I think it was March or April, one of those, where I didn't do push-ups, or I barely did any push-ups. But besides that, like, I've been pretty consistent with my push-ups. I may not see, and that's another thing, like, you think you don't see results, so it's like, are they really wins? But just being able to do 25 push-ups in itself every single day is an accomplishment, bro. Like, I remember December, I think it was like towards the last week of December, I was able to do one push-up. I was struggling, and before that, which is another win really, is I've been able to do programs consistently. So if it's a 4-week program, I did it. I was working out 5 days a week, and I wasn't missing any days. So that in itself is a win. I did another program that was also last year, so around, I think I started in August, September, and then it was a 3-month program, and I did that. I did the whole thing. And that's the thing, like, I don't see the results, so that's why I don't see them as big accomplishments, because I see these people who be exercising, and it's like a 6-month, 10-month thing, and they have amazing bodies, and I'm like, I've been exercising for the same amount. I've been pretty consistent with it too, and I don't see my results. Like, where are my results? But then you go into other factors, nutrition. So what am I eating? My sleep. All these 2 main things really that influence the results of the thing that you're working for, right? So, but those are some wins. The push-ups, definitely. So the first push-up I did was in December. After that, I was able to do them pretty consistently. Like, I was doing 25 push-ups, maybe not in a row, but definitely cumulatively. I think that's the word. I was doing them 25 push-ups every day. This June, because today's July 1st, this past week, or 2 weeks ago, I was doing 100 push-ups almost every day, and that was during my workouts. And even in my workouts, those in itself are wins. There was this one workout I did, and between the breaks in the exercises, I was doing push-ups. And mind you, I was doing dumbbells, so I was adding more. What would it be, like, more stress or more? It was very intense, to say the least. It was very intense, and I was able to do that. I was able to. I don't know how I survived, to be honest, but that in itself was an accomplishment. That was a win, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it's these little wins as well. Like, those count. Those count. And when we think about them, I was like, when you think about them, it boosts your ego, or boosts your self-confidence, your confidence. And let's see what else. And while I'm talking about my wins, like, think about your wins. Think about what have you been doing this past month that you said you were going to do, and you're doing it. Are you eating healthier? Even though my meals haven't been that great, I know my breakfast is always healthy. So it's yogurt with yogurt, which is I think it's protein, with blueberries or strawberries, or some type of fruit, with walnuts, sometimes peanut butter. Then I also eat my egg, which is also protein, and that's either egg with always onion, and either just like that or with tomatoes. So that in itself is also a win. Like, I'm saying, oh, I'm not a healthy person, but I've been doing very consistently my breakfast, like having because I don't know if you guys know what the glucose goddess, but she has 4 steps pretty much. So it's start with what's she called, the breakfast, savory breakfast. So it's pretty much like protein, anything like that. Then we have veggie starters. So when you start your dinner, before you eat, like, try to eat vegetables. And if you could do that in your breakfast as well, that's great. But, like, some people don't want to eat vegetables in their breakfast, so that's understandable. Then we have apple cider vinegar before you also eat dinner, so because that reduces the glucose. And then we have movements after you eat, especially during a big meal. You go, and it doesn't have to be anything like intense. It's just either walking, or she does like the heel races or something like that, calf races, I think that's what they're called. So anything like that, washing the dishes, any type of movement, so the energy goes into that, and not towards like the glucose having a spike or something like that. You could check her out. But yeah, definitely going back to you and like to us, it's like start thinking about your wins. Like, what are those wins? What have you done this past month that you've committed to doing? Like, even for me, it's also been the little things will be stretching, drinking water, the eating healthier, exercising. Even in relationships, so just trying to improve them in the sense of having better conversations, so better communication. This is a funny one, but I've been learning how to twerk, and I've been pretty consistent with that too. Even if it's 5 minutes of just practicing, I'm doing that. I've been consistent, I've been committed, and maybe it's a slow progress for sure, especially with someone who doesn't have much, but I think I'm getting there. I think I think I'm making some progress. So it's like those little wins that we forget, like it's okay. I just stared at him, waiting for him to go. He's literally in front of my face. That's so funny. What was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, celebrate those little wins. Celebrate those big wins. I was supposed to do this thing where Jay Shetty did in the beginning of the year, where you grab like what's it called, a bucket or something to put like post-it notes in. feel my hair. Something to put post-its on it, like where you put at the end of the week you put your win, like what was that win. And I haven't done that. I've been saying I'm gonna do it. I have it literally in front of my face, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. I just haven't done it. So I'm gonna start this week. So it's creating those habits to celebrate those wins as well. So I guess we could start wrapping up by talking about actions. And so one action immediately is reflect on what you have accomplished. Like write it down, big, small. Like, oh, I didn't get mad this day, or I didn't get mad at this situation, or I didn't react how I would usually react to this certain experience, situation, moment. And all of those are wins. So even like that, I'm already thinking of certain things where, okay, I could have reacted this way, I could have done that, or perfect example, this yesterday there's a party that I was invited to and I really wanted to go because I like to dance, and that would have been like a good opportunity. But even like with like the experiences I've had with parties, they were alright. So I knew I wasn't gonna miss much. So but that either FOMO or that like, oh, I really want to go. But I've also been going to New York a lot, or more than I should, and I haven't really been spending time with my family. And that's actually one of the things I'm working on, is spending more time with my family, quality time with my family. So I pretty much and also because my wallet didn't really permit it, my bank account didn't permit it. It was okay. I'm not gonna force it, because I could have gone, even with the limited resources and financially. I still could have gone, but I was like, no, let me spend time with my family. My family had plans on like open houses and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna stay. And I'm really glad I stayed, because it was pretty fun. Like, it wasn't anything, what's it called, like grand. It wasn't anything big or anything, but it was like those moments of the little laughs, or even like when it started raining and we were like trying to get my mom and my cousin while like closing the door so they didn't come in, not using our phones, little stuff like that they're memories that would be memories that were created, moments that were created, memories that were created. And if I would have gone to the party, maybe I wouldn't have those, pretty much. So that in itself is a win. I prioritized my family when I knew I had the option. I could have easily had gone to New York, and I could have been in New York right now. So that in itself is a win, because I'm learning how to prioritize, I think. I mean, for me, is a win. So that's what I'm saying. So that in itself is a win for me. So stuff like that. I think reflect. And what else? So it's reflect that, and then write down all your wins. And I see these are the moments where I wish I would have planned the actions, because maybe it would have been more useful. But the things that I'm doing is that the post-it notes. So at the end of the week, write it down, like what was the win that I did this week. Even right now, I'm gonna be doing, which I'm actually gonna be making another video for YouTube specifically, not for the podcast, but it's these 3 questions, and I'll talk about them right now. It's, what did I do? I need to search it up real quick porque no me acuerdo. But it's, what filled me with enthusiasm today? What drained me of my energy? What drained me of energy today, or something like that? What did I learn about myself today? So you do that for 29 days, and then on the 30th day, you change the today. So you change it to, what filled me with enthusiasm this month? What drained me of my energy this month? And what did I learn about myself this month? And that's going to be a YouTube video that I'm going to be doing, so definitely go check that out at some point at the end of this month. So it should be coming up in the beginning of August. So those are things that I'm doing, because that in itself, it's programming us to learn more about ourselves, and to those enthusiasm moments. Those are in itself wins. Like we're learning, we're focusing on the good things, but also we're analyzing and changing what needs to be changed, or those little cambios that need to be made. What's another action that could be? I think also talking about your wins is also very important. So if you have somebody, I just remember I didn't put lipstick, or chopstick today. Okay, but I think talking about I just added that random thought. Okay, back to this. I think talking about it. So if you have somebody that you could talk about your wins, okay, I did this today. Pretty much having an accountability partner. So if you already know what your goals are and what you have to do, and you're doing them every week, just talk about it with somebody. Like, oh, I did this, and then also talk about what I could have done better. But celebrate those wins. And then there's also those big things of, there's people who do the champagne, right? So once you feel that you met that goal, you feel that goal filled, you made that goal, you accomplished that goal, you open the champagne and you celebrate that. There's people who do that. I don't drink, so I don't want to do champagne. But maybe it's buying buying a cake, or buying a tres leches, making a tres leches, something like that. It could be material, it could be an experience, whatever it is. Especially if they're obviously, don't celebrate all the tiny goals with champagne. Definitely, because there's the big ones, and then those big ones have little sub goals. So celebrate that big one when it happens, like with something big. You don't want to be spending your money on, and every single time you make a win, like tampoco te pases. So celebrate the small wins, or the small wins. But honestly, like, those are the ones that make the big wins. Make the big wins. I don't know why I said it like that. Celebrating the big wins, and yeah, I think just talking about it, celebrating it, acknowledging them, and seeing that feeling as much as possible when you do accomplish those mini goals. I think that will be really important. And I think that an action as well that's really, really important is to not guilt ourselves, or que no nos culpemos when we don't do it, especially if it's just a 1 day or 2 day, maybe 3 days. But to not guilt ourselves when we don't do certain things, because it's not always going to be 100%, when, especially like those daily actions that we need to do, those daily habits that we got to do, to not guilt ourselves when we don't do them. I think that's really important, because then that, at least for me personally, it really creates a big relapse on, oh man, I didn't do this day. So which is funny, because it's for certain things, like podcasts and stuff like that. That's really big. Waking up early. I remember there was this one time in, I want to say 2019 I think it was, when in August I was waking up at 5 a.m. every day, and because of one relapse of me waking up late, I couldn't do it anymore. And since then, I haven't really been I haven't had the amazing opportunity to wake up early. And I know the feeling, and it's an amazing feeling to wake up at 5 a.m. and be filled with energy, but I just haven't been able to. And that's something I really want to work on, but I need to work on my sleep schedule as well. But even that in itself was a win. Like, waking up early, that was amazing. As someone who for her whole life has struggled to wake up early, that was a big win. I think that's it. So just being aware of the conversations, be mindful of the conversations you have with yourself, and when you don't accomplish something, or when you miss one thing, and maybe even do, I don't know what it's called, but it's the don't miss 2 days don't miss no more than 2 days. So if you have a calendar, like a habit tracker, and you start like that attaching that, like crossing them out. I don't know how you say it in Spanish. Tachándolo. I think it's tachar. I don't know. But we start like crossing it out, and then don't miss more than 2 boxes, because then it's really easy to keep on not filling those boxes up. So try not to miss 2 days. I think for me, I've been really consistent with that, with exercise, push-ups. I think that's it. I think that's what I've really been consistent. It's funny that exercise and push-ups, those have been really, even like eating a good breakfast has been very consistent. But that one I don't really track, but I know I've been eating. It's either yogurt or like, I even like now I still haven't eaten because I wanted to record this episode, and I really wanted to record in just in general. So, and I usually don't eat breakfast until like 2, 3. So I pretty much do intermittent fasting almost every day, which I don't know if it's good or bad because I know your body gets used to it. So if I eat early, it could mess things up. But that's something I gotta do more research on. Okay, I don't even know. I can't really check from the mirror how long this episode has been, but I think that's it. I always watch these episodes to when I'm editing it, or just the previous episode that I watched, and I'm like, oh damn, I could have said this, I could have said that, I could have said that. There's stories I left out, like even just real quick, that conversation was inspired also because I had an amazing conversation with my friends. Literally, I think it was the day before. I think it was the day before. Yeah, I think it was literally the day before, and it was in a really amazing conversation. And we made us gay and stuff like that. So, but it definitely made me think about the mindset stuff. So that was rooted within that, and even there's like examples that I didn't mention, or certain things I didn't mention that I forgot. So maybe I will do another episode because I already forgot what I was supposed to talk about. Well, with all that being said, make sure you reflect, make sure you acknowledge, make sure you celebrate, make sure you talk about it, and start creating those habits to really be in that mindset of celebration. And again, it doesn't have to be a big celebration. It could just acknowledging and being like, yeah, like a high five, air high five to yourself, stuff like that. I think it will really help out. And even doing those 3 questions, I think that would also be an amazing opportunity to program ourselves to think about the good stuff, think about what we can change, because we're always evolving. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this episode. Leave your comments below if I missed anything, if you have any suggestions on what we can do to celebrate our wins better. Comment by sharing any small wins, big wins that you've had this past year, what your goals are for next year. I'm also going to be doing a goals episode or YouTube video literally today, but I don't know when I'm going to be uploading it, hopefully this week. But yeah, I keep ranting, so let me wrap it up here. Have an amazing day, have a beautiful day, have an amazing month, and don't forget to celebrate your wins. I'll see you in the next episode. If you're listening in Spotify or Apple Podcasts, don't forget to follow and also answer that question in the bottom of Spotify of what did you think about this episode, because that really, really helps out a lot. If you're watching and listening to this episode on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to comment, like, share, because that really helps out the podcast and the YouTube itself. And with that being said, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Alrighty.